Thanks for joining us. I'm Dale Minyo. I am sitting in Huron City Schools' 8th grade integrated classroom with Leah LaCrosse. We're here as a project today to check out the in-classroom instruction with students of Chickenology, a project of GrowNextGen, and that's a project of the Ohio Soybean Farmers and their soybean checkoff. Leah, thanks for joining us. When we talk about GrowNextGen, you've experienced several different categories in addition to Chickenology. Give us a quick background. What are some of the ones you've already covered?
I've worked with the drone series. I ended up writing the drone series in agriculture for them. I've also been able to work in the different workshops that they have for teachers. So I was able to go through some of the workshops. I've been able to go to some of the different events, SECO and that. And then Chickenology is just one more layer that I can bring into the classroom with awesome lessons and fun projects for them.
Now, I went to one of the Chickenologies last year, and it was all about designing an infrastructure with which you could drop an egg, which was fun to watch teachers do it. But yours today was very interactive with the students talking about beaks and beaks designs. A lot more communication in the classroom than I'm used to seeing in a lot of classes. Is this normal for this type class?
Well, I think this lesson lends to more collaboration between the students and more discussion of like, what do we already know? What did you try? How did you get that to work? And so this is one of those lessons that while we do pause and kind of come together as a whole group, they do feed off of each other to a little bit of an engineering challenge, design the best beak. So it is a little bit, leveled up as far as collaboration goes.
Now, when we talk about meeting state standards and so on, because it's sometimes in the outside world, that's all we hear about is we have to teach what meets. How does this help you get the students ready for the next level?
Well, I actually don't use a science textbook, so Chickenology, the lessons there and the rest of the lessons that I use from GrowNextGen, they fill those standards for me where we're exploring like real life topics, and it just happens to really be well aligned to the science standards. So while we are learning about evolution, we're learning about it from the perspective of the chickens that we have today and how they've evolved. And it's something that students can like see in their everyday life, and they're able to connect it a little bit better.
Yeah, you can't forget what you did hands-on with chopsticks, and you even said, I really thought I was a lot better with chopsticks than it turns out I was, and some of the kids were pretty good, and other ones liked the spoon, and some were trying to think at some point, it's like, I want to modify this even more, but didn't know what they were allowed to do.
Right, exactly. And I think that hands-on part that these lessons have, they're deeper lessons, so you don't have to keep repeating the information over and over again. You can get the content across in a very hands-on, visual, collaborative way, and then they can take that knowledge to any state question, like chicken beaks versus, the evolution of horses, because there's always like, questions like how do other organisms evolve. They're able to remember these moments and apply them to those state test questions.
So what else is coming up? How many more classroom days of material do you have in Chickenology that still have to offer?
Well, we will be working with the Chicken Feeder Challenge next, which is where they have to design and build a prototype for a chicken feeding system that would be, acceptable for a small flock of chickens. So the students have to ask really good questions. They need to know a little bit about the anatomy. They need to know a little bit about the behavior, the food type, but it's all very question driven and inquiry based. And so even though they're getting the science processing skills, they're also getting a chance to show their creativity, explore different areas of science, and at the end, they're able to produce something that we actually pour the chicken feed into, and we see how does it come out, and then we evaluate the effectiveness of how would a flock of chickens respond to that structure. So
I thought it was interesting. At one point, you said, "Chicken feeders. Anybody know what a chicken feeder is?" And one of the kids in class said, "Yeah, it's a red tube. It's about 2 feet tall, and it's got a bottom on it." I was like, he had the chicken feeder down to even the color. And we're going to talk about what it actually delivers and does, but he knew what he was talking about.
Exactly, yeah. And then some of the kids were kind of funny. They were like, well, aren't you the chicken feeder? You feed the chickens, so are you the chicken feeder? And I'm like, that's not what we're talking about. So yeah, it's definitely based on their experiences. And then who knows, like that little engineering challenge may lead them to a career in agriculture, designing systems for feeding other, animals. So it's really, really a nice way to let them see other fields out there.
Quick update, website, what does that do when we talk about GrowNextGen? And you can always get more information at soyohio.org, but you've been able to utilize that in the classroom for question and for interaction as well.
Right, yeah. So I was finding that some of my students had like a misunderstanding of GMOs. And so as we were talking, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a quick search. So I just went onto the website, did a quick search for GMO, and I found a GMO breakout game, another guessing game, and it was like really easy to find, print out, use, and then the kids, you know, had a slideshow with it. I didn't have to make anything. And at the end, you know, it's like that aha moment where they're like, oh, that's what that means, right? So it was easy to find, and it was, you know, easy to implement right away the very next day.
Same website that you went to the solar farm, and I think there's some virtual field trips
the
too.
virtual field trips, the videos for careers in agriculture. It's a nice place to go for curriculum, especially for people like me who don't have a, I don't have a textbook, but I have, a lot of different resources, and this is one that's just go to every time. So.
Well, Leah, thanks for allowing us to invade your 8th grade science class, and the students maintained attention and did a really good job of paying attention to you. You've obviously earned their respect, and allow them some flexibility to do some questions and have some fun too, and it's good to see that in the classroom as well. And today again is a project of GrowNextGen, a project of the Ohio Soybean Farmers and their checkoff, and today's topic was chickenology. I've been visiting with Leah LaCrosse.